blazing so bright, calling the fight from the islands. We stand from dawn to twilight. The empires rise and conquer. In the wild face of danger, carry on to the victory. You better take a deep breath. Each dawn it brings a bitter fight. Another chill may run down your spine. Fear looks beyond the edge of sight. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die. Never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind. Hold your weapons, strive and fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Chaos for sharpening your knife. Make way to find your destiny. Worship a man or a shrine. Can both recall is scattered. In the wild sound of war drums, tearing down all the enemies. You better capture the arcs. The carriers may bug you down. You set up for their swiftest ride. Sneaky Texas work as your best ally. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die. Never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind. Hold your weapons, strive and fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Across the oceans, stories will be told. How you struggle, how you try to define the world. With a sacred name, you are the one chosen to start up the storm. Never give up till you die. Never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind. Hold your weapons, strive and fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the ROK Global Champions Grand Prix Qualifier, day number 1. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. We have a great match ahead of us. S2K against VV63. S2K is a primarily Korean team. VV63 is a primarily Vietnamese team, and this should be an excellent match. There is a lot going on in Rise of Kingdoms at this exact moment, so I very much appreciate you all being here with me on the stream. We have the Pioneer Arc event remastered new map being played by a lot of alliances right now, 800 lucky alliances who signed up within 1 minute. My own alliance is one of those teams playing right now. I actually registered us and made the strategy for our match, but now I don't even get to play in it. I'm live casting the Osiris League instead. That just shows you how much I enjoy Arc of Osiris in this game. I'm literally making strategies for a match I'm not even playing in, and it's very hectic. I'm actually even on my phone, and I had to let like 15 people into my alliance a minute ago because there were no other officers on, and they needed to play in the Arc match. I don't even know why all those people were not in the alliance. But anyway, I'm glad everybody is here, and we are going to get into this match in just a few minutes. As a reminder for what we are actually going to be watching today, in the Grand Prix, everyone has the same equipment. Everyone has every commander. They have very good, but not amazing equipment. And they have some very interesting armament sets. So as we preview this match, let me talk a little bit about what the gear and the equipment is for the players in this Grand Prix. they have everything is tier 5 awakened. All their equipment is tier 5 awakened, but none of it is iconic and none of it is critted. And for armaments, they have the 4 special inscriptions on all their formations, but they have no actual stats. So they're going to be down about 35 to 40% of stats on their armaments, but they're going to be boosted by having special inscriptions in every single slot on every single commander. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And, you know, we're just going to get into the match in a couple of minutes, and we'll see how these first 2 teams play. S2K is a group that they're one of the 4 teams that actually did not actually compete in the last Osiris League. They qualified for this by being one of the top 4 teams who registered for the open registration, and they had, you know, the top 4 most power of any of those teams. And so that's how they qualified for this Grand Prix. And their team consists of players, Korean players who used to play in 24-29. They consist of some, you know, independent Korean players from kingdoms like 1365 and 2489. Just 1 or 2 players from 2489 and 1365. There's Elsa from 1093, another well-known Korean player, and actually a former teammate of mine. And I believe Baba TC Ataturk is also on S2K in this match. And so they're going to be a very strong new team in this group. While F12 or VV63, they finished in the top 4 in the Sobek bracket in the last Osiris League. And then they were able to... then their players actually migrated away from F12, away from Kingdom 3212, and they're part of their new team now, VV63. They're sort of using the the qualification that their previous kingdom earned. So we will be jumping into this match very soon. And everybody be sure to throw a like on the stream. I see everybody in the chat. Dodie, Armad, Toots, Hein, Gia Lynn, thank you all for hanging out. And let me go ahead and bring us into the match. Alrighty, so we've got a few minutes left before the match starts, but let's take a look at these teams as they migrate in. Let's see if we can see what kingdom they're from. Doesn't look like it. So we're just going to have to go by the names here. Now, a Peach, actually, I was just in a camp with a Peach in the Lost Kingdom, in a KVK. A Peach is in Kingdom 1486. So I do know who a Peach is. And of course, everybody knows who Baba TC Ataturk is. Baba also part of this S2K team. This is a pretty strong team right here. You know, this is a team that has come together and formed from a lot of different groups. I think a big part of it is the Korean group that used to be in 24-29. I'm not entirely sure where all those people migrated to. They might have gone to a few different places. But they are here together for Osiris League. And this is going to be a mainly Korean team plus Baba. And then let's take a look at VV63 and see if we can recognize any of these players. So this is definitely a Vietnamese team. So they're actually rocking the F12 name today. I believe they registered as VV63 and it was a Vietnamese team name. But they are going to play as F12 here today. And these are mainly players who used to be in Kingdom 3212. And they are all rocking this Osiris League skin, actually. Actually, I believe everybody gets whatever skin they want. Let me make sure of that. I was talking to somebody who's playing earlier. Yes, everybody gets all the city skins except for the brand new one that is in Zenith right now. So people are choosing different castle skins right now. You've got a couple of the rally leaders who are probably rocking, I think this is a cavalry skin right here. I believe there's a cavalry skin. Here's an infantry skin on Banaki. And then this skin here, although I cannot tell you the exact stats on it, this is going to be like an open field skin with a buff to all of your marches. It's like maybe 8% troop defense, something like that. But we are about to get started here. This match is kicking off right now. S2K against F12. The Grand Prix is underway. Let's get it on. So energetic cast by S2K. No energetic cast yet by F12. One sentry being placed so far. Both teams a little slow on the sentries. An aggressive sentry placed by F12 is going to get spotted out by this S2K sentry. And S2K is likely going to reach this area first. Especially since it doesn't look... Well, they do have a pretty fast cavalry here. But interesting that F12 has not used energetic. And, you know, listen, this is going to play a little bit differently than normal arc just because everyone's marches are so strong and everyone has every commander. So we might see some interesting skill usage over the course of the Grand Prix. And I think skill usage is going to be extremely, extremely important in terms of who wins the Grand Prix and who does well in the Grand Prix. Because everything else is equal, or so many things are equal, right? Everyone's equipment is the same. Everyone's armaments are the same. Actually, look at this. The fast cavalry from F12 is going to reach this ward first and take out the S2K sentry. Very nice value for this fast cavalry here. Both teams only using one sentry. That is interesting. It actually looks like, from the skill bars, it looks like you only get one sentry. It looks like this is a change, or I don't know what to call this, but this is something where normally in a match you can use 3 sentries. Now here's another sentry. Maybe both teams do have 3 sentries. But if they do have, both can drop 3 sentries, then both teams are pretty slow to be using their sentries early on. Now you can see that S2K is pushing heavily to the Desert Altar. Low presence on the outside, on the top side for S2K. And fairly slow mobilization on the outside on the bottom lane. It looks like they're both going with a fairly like old school opening where they're very, very heavy on the inside lane and relatively light on the outside lane. Although I do think that S2K looks like they have a very nice advantage on this bottom side outside lane. They just have enough people here to make a real impact. And we do have first contact here at the Desert Altar. Look at F12. F12 is running past their own Desert Altar, getting kind of wrecked. I do believe that F12 in the Sobek, late in the Sobek Osiris League, I do believe they had an incident where they only had about 28 people show up for one of their matches. They've got 30 today, but an interesting engage by F12 here where they kind of just ran in and got wrecked at this Desert Altar. Lots of Jones, lots of Hermans, lots of Huos on the field. And a Scipio Emilianus rally headed towards this obelisk. Hollow square formation on this Scipio rally. It will be interesting to see if we see more of this throughout the day. With this Grand Prix, we see some very interesting best practices. Because, you know, people can do it. Most people don't have a Scipio Aemilianus with outstanding hollow square formation inscriptions. But in Grand Prix you do, and so S2K has decided that this is the best formation for this rally. Let's see what's behind the Scipio here. It is typically Tariq. We are typically seeing Scipio Tariq rallies. Yep, Scipio Tariq, and heavy pressure. Worth noting there's heavy pressure on this obelisk. S2K has kind of diverted marches from the Desert Altar to swarm the F12 obelisk right off the bat here. They are going very aggressive, and they have the numbers here, and they are going to pop this obelisk. S2K taking the F12 obelisk very early on in this match. Big plays, big plays from the mercenary team, one of the open qualifying teams. S2K lands a big blow here early on, taking the F12 obelisk right off the rip. And they have very good numbers here. They have very good numbers here. And no one was able to teleport, right? So like over here you can see it was very close, right? Over on this side F12 has teleported, but they did not get any teleports down at this obelisk. And it's going to be very hard for very hard for F12 to get this obelisk back quickly. I mean, they need to. This reaction is a little bit slow, I think, from these players. It's good that they won the fight at the Desert Altar, I guess, because maybe, just maybe, these players can clear. They might be able to clear the blue marches at this obelisk and get this thing back in 2 minutes, but it's cutting it close. It's cutting it very close, and it sort of depends on how many marches are in this obelisk versus how many are fighting in the field. You know, if you were S2K, you wish you had hard push on your bar. Hard push is not a typical skill you cast in Arc, but if they had on their bar, they could have reduced the capture time by a minute, and they would be only 30 seconds away from capturing this obelisk. But as it is, they are still cleaning this up. Blue is still cleaning this up. Banaki here, Silly Queen, Thora is here. We saw Baba was on this attack earlier. A bunch of marches from Banaki, who also was the player who was rallying it, and I believe he's their front row captain as well. They're going to take this obelisk. They are going to take this obelisk. And now remember this. This is huge. I mean, this is just absolutely massive what S2K is doing here. This is like, hey, I'm not calling it over, but it's a hard thing to come back from here if you're F12. I mean, because this is the thing. The marches, the cities that teleport into this obelisk are going to have 10 million troops. They have 10 million. They have 10 million of, I believe, each troop type. Yes, they have. The cities that teleport in are going to have 10 million of each troop type. There is no way to swarm these cities down. There's just, how do you ever get this obelisk back? How do you ever get rid of the cities that are at this obelisk? F12 is going to have to play this match with one obelisk. That is the bottom line. They are going to have to play this match with one obelisk. S2K lands an absolute knockout blow right from the start. And who teleports in first? Miss Flamingo. Miss Flamingo getting that first teleport in, or maybe it was Kanak. But you look at the power. I mean, look at the power on these cities. Look at the power on these cities. Huge score for S2K right off the bat. Showing, like right away, showing how differently the Grand Prix plays. Where all their marches are just so strong that the Eleanor garrison just had no chance against that level of swarm. S2K had maybe like, I don't know, eight more marches than the enemy had at this obelisk fight. But those 8 marches were enough to overcome everything that was in this obelisk. And then defend also against the second wave of marches that came back here. And so let's look at where they are. So they got the extra teleports. Pretty interesting. What I think is interesting here is that some of these players, I think, were probably supposed to teleport at the start. Like, Banaki and Baba, I would imagine, were assigned a couple of the initial teleports. But once they saw how promising this attack was, it looks like they let other players teleport instead, and they just waited until they grabbed the obelisk. So, mid-fight is coming up soon. Mid spawns in 2 minutes. F12 is reeling right now. They are absolutely reeling. Definitely not the way you want to start the Grand Prix. A little bit embarrassing. Sobek is being welcomed to the rest of the world, and they're being welcomed to the rest of the world in a pretty harsh way. Same as it ever was. 3212 is a team that competed in a recent big KVK. I believe 3212, if I'm not mistaken, was part of that very big 2377, 2429 KVK. They were one of the other kingdoms in there. I could be wrong about that, but I believe they fought 2377 at some point in the recent past. And they are just finding out that, Spellback is one thing, and the rest of this game is another, because players have a lot of experience. And in the case of Grand Prix, where everyone has great equipment and all the commanders, players also hit very, very hard. So on this first arc, it looks like S2K is going to get a clear run at it. F12 is not really even able to get to the mid, because they actually took back the obelisk. So they took back the obelisk. So they're actually sacking. It looks like F12 is kind of making I would say, a smart play, which is that they're sacking the mid, and they're trying to get this obelisk. They've taken the obelisk with a Scipio rally. They beat the Gorgo Charles garrison. And now they're using their marches some of their marches are trying to defend this obelisk for 1 minute. S2K should, they have so many cities here that the marches, if they die mid, can contest this obelisk, but it's going to be close. It's going to be close. Arc does spawn now. S2K with an easy win at the mid. The real fight is once again here at this obelisk. S2K is coming back. They've got 40 seconds. They have 40 seconds to get this obelisk back. When their marches die, they'll be able to pull marches out of their cities and attack. And you can see some marches are just actually walking back because they're literally full health. So this is going to be close. In 20 seconds, F12 will be able to teleport in if they can hold the obelisk. They're swarming down the obelisk, right? They're not even attacking the marches. All they're doing is swarming down the obelisk. Huo Garrison. Garrison gets popped. S2K retains control of this entire area. The remaining F12 resistance will be getting cleaned up summarily over the next minute or so. Kind of a close call to make this a little bit more respectable, but yeah. The status quo remains. S2K continues to hold 3 obelisks. It was a very good attack by F12. I really like the idea of not going for the first mid and just focusing on this obelisk. I think they could have done more, right? I think they could have... They ultimately had a lot of people going mid and a lot of marches just fighting in this area here. Like, imagine if just like maybe 5 to 10 more of those marches had gone to this obelisk. I actually think they would have held on to it. So a very big win for S2K right off the bat. They've got a 13K to 2K lead early on in this match. And F12 just, you know, at the end of the day, what you have to think about here is that both of these teams are going to play 2 more matches. We have a 3-hour pool play situation here where every team is going to play 3 matches. F12 has 2 more matches later on today. It's going to be the same 30 players playing the next 2 matches. And so, listen, they're going to be on voice chat together for 3 hours. And they have to make the most out of this situation, I think. And that is what they were trying to do with this obelisk. They can heavy defend on the top side, right? F12 can heavy defend on the top side. They have, you know, plenty of cities here. They'll slowly teleport more cities in here. The issue is going to become that as S2K gets full control of this side, which they kind of have it now, S2K is going to start rotating marches over to this side, right? This area here, this Shrine of War and this obelisk area for F12 is going to be pressured not just by the standard opposition from this top side, but it will also be challenged by the bottom side that just starts rotating over, because they're, you know, all these players are looking to get a lot of kill points, score very highly on the leaderboard. There will be leaderboards for the entire Grand Prix, and so these players are definitely going to want to pad their stats as much as possible in a match like this. This is sort of like, you know, if NFL players were also playing fantasy football, or, you know, paying close attention to their stats. In this case, you know, this is a much smaller situation than the NFL, and so all the players in the Grand Prix, they're looking for that individual glory. They're looking to be high on the leaderboards. And I think S2K, you know, rightly understands that in this match, they're probably going to score, but, you know, potentially more points and have better kill ratios than almost all the other matches going on. Just because they can outnumber F12 in almost every situation. F12 is just, they're limited by this, by having to have so many players operate out of the start zone. As long as S2K doesn't get too close to this start zone, they will get very good trades. If they decide that they just want to get pure kill points, get the most kill points possible, which is what they'll probably do, then they might end up taking some bad trades around this start area. But it looks like F12 is pushing again towards the obelisk area. They're going to go for this obelisk again.
There must be strife. I already see the end of life. I accepted death, my eyes are open. I read and told them there's a light. Eternal life awaits me, yes. No one can dare deny me. I gladly give my life. All my people can my kingdom point the way. That's a small price to pay.
So here in this fight, it looks like the numbers are pretty even. As a reminder, all these players have the same equipment, the same commanders, and the same armaments. So fights are generally going to be decided by who has more numbers and who engages better. I mean, we saw it right off the bat in this match. At the very beginning of this match, the very first fight we saw was at this bottom side desert altar, and we saw the very first F12 marches. They just ran right into S2K. Their first 5 or 6 marches died very, very fast, did absolutely no damage. And it just snowballed from there, but that was a really bad start for F12, and those 5 to 6 marches, not being around for those first fights at the bottom side, that could have absolutely swung this obelisk capture right at the start.
My eyes are open, eternal morning. The crown is
see Baba TC Ataturk here for S2K with the Joan, with the Scipio. Scipio Lucci is probably going to be the only infantry march we see today in the field. I don't think we're going to see much Guan. We'll have to look out for a Guan. Actually, we're seeing Guans. Here's a Guan right here. So some players are deciding to use maybe 2 infantry. Or actually, we're seeing more infantry than you would expect. We're seeing the William Wallace as well. Who is William Wallace being paired with? I assume Lucci. Yeah, so it looks like some people are going with Guan Scipio plus Wallace Lucci for 2 infantry marches. I do wonder if we'll see that from the stronger teams, because with S2K, for example, we are seeing them run... We're seeing Baba here run XY Belly, I assume. Because they're just saying... They're telling their players, listen, run 3 cavalry marches, alright? Forget the 2 infantry. Forget the 2nd archer march with Ashurbanipal. Run 3 cavalry marches. And that is really why you're seeing so many XYs out here. Although you do see Miss Flamingo here with the Ethel Trajan. So a few players are using Ethel Trajan to boost everybody else. And it will be interesting to see if, as this Grand Prix goes along, if we see all teams using the exact same template. Will all teams use 3 cavalry, 1 infantry, 1 archers? Will all teams use the same number of Ethel-fled Trajans? Or will there be a difference? Will some teams feel like they have an edge by theory crafting some other configuration of marches? If I had to guess, I would guess that we are going to see everybody using pretty much the same thing in the open field. We might see some different rallies. And it is interesting that earlier we saw a Gorgo Hera. Where is that? I believe right here, yes. The original S2K garrison here was a Gorgo Charles. A Gorgo Charles to be like max strong against swarm. And you know, you can do that. You can be ready with the Gorgo Hera, and you can very quickly swap it to a Gorgo, or you can have the Gorgo Charles ready, and you can very quickly swap it to a Gorgo Hera because you have that commander as well, or someone else can use the Gorgo Hera. Actually, in general, whether it's the Grand Prix or just regular Ark of Osiris, most players do have that option of running Gorgo Hera or Gorgo Charles in different situations. It doesn't really screw up your other marches at all, and you use the same equipment and armaments on the Gorgo. So something for players to think about is that, or for, you know, Ark garrison captains to think about is, listen, if you know you're going to get super heavily swarmed, just throw that Gorgo Charles in instead of the Gorgo Hera, because it is better against pure swarm. So it looks like Trash Panda is not... Looks like it's a distraction rally. I think what's happening here is Trash Panda is launching a distraction rally towards the Shrine of Life. The distraction is working. They've got Super Luffy and one Miss Flamingo march trying to just get the KP. They want the KP, but the real attack here... Let's look at the visual range of S2K. You can see the S2K does not see this coming. They do not see this coming. Actually, this is they can see it coming. Never mind. They can see it coming, but they're not really doing much about it. They're actually heavy chasing. They're actually heavy chasing this Asher rally and letting the enemy swarm the obelisk. They must be very confident. They must be very confident that they can take this obelisk back in 2 minutes. They're probably right. They're probably right. But there are a lot of F12 marches, or a decent amount of F12 marches, heading towards this obelisk. Do appreciate everybody hanging out. Be sure to throw a like on the stream. We have 3 hours of Grand Prix qualifier coverage coming up, one after another. This is a very big day. First day of qualifiers. We'll have a second day of qualifiers tomorrow. Today is pool play. Everybody plays 3 matches. If you win all 3 matches, you will advance. Only one team advances from each pool. And so we are going to sort of separate the strong from the weak in pool play today. So F12 does have this obelisk, but no garrison. No garrison in the obelisk. And we are seeing the power of swarming here, where S2K didn't really even need to win the open field fight. In fact, they were slightly outnumbered in that open field fight, or they were significantly outnumbered in that open field fight, but the swarming marches could just ignore the marches hitting them and focus on the obelisk attack instead. And we see this in regular ROK as well, right? We see situations where a team will be defending a flag or a fort, and they will have the field, you know, the offense will have the field, but enemy marches will come out and just swarm the rally and let themselves be melted by the open field, but they will just swarm the rally anyway because it is effective. And we're seeing a similar dynamic here on this garrison. But it looks like S2K is going to hold. They got the Gorgo in there, the more resilient Gorgo, and they're clearing this field. So another hold for S2K at this forward obelisk. You know all the players over here want to teleport somewhere else. All the players back here are like, I cannot get any kill points. And they're all just waiting. They're waiting for like new teleports to open up so they can go either to this side, or I bet even this obelisk is going to be very full. Yes, you can see this obelisk here is very, very full because there's just more fighting. There's just more fighting on this side. And interesting that F12 does not have more, has not teleported more cities here. You would think at this point in the match they would have more teleports for this obelisk. But we are halfway through the match, and S2K has taken all the major buildings, and all that the red team F12 has are 3 outposts and 1 of their obelisks. And with 30 minutes still left in this match, I would say that S2K at this point has their sights set on this other obelisk. You know, one thing to think about here as far as kill points is swarming cities. These cities are very, very hard to swarm. And if they do decide to swarm one of these cities, which it'll be interesting to see if they do or not, whichever city gets swarmed is going to get a ton of KP. An absolute ton of KP. You can see right now, only Luffy Taro is well ahead. And I would guess that Luffy Taro is, Luffy Taro's right here. So a few people swarmed Luffy Taro. And you can see, therefore, that Luffy Taro has the most KP of either team. So it'll be interesting to see how bloodthirsty S2K gets as they gradually dominate this map. Because, man, your ratio, your kills to severely wounded ratio is going to be very, very low if you decide to swarm any city in the Grand Prix. Two arcs already collected by S2K. Next arc in 4 minutes. Only 1 sentry, 2 sentries on the map right now. Actually, 3 sentries. All for S2K. The vision for the red team, F12, is very limited. They are playing in the dark right now. But not a big deal because they can't really travel very far anyway. they kind of know, you know, they can see the area that they're actually able to fight in, and the rest of the map is really just off limits to S2K at this point. Although, blue team is taking their sweet time to get back this outpost. And it looks like this Asher may just win this duel against the Huo. So F12 picking up some points. Nope, never mind. Here comes a full health Joan. Yeah, this outpost, it was a cheeky move to hold this outpost for a little bit. You take the small victories where you can get them when you're getting completely destroyed. But this outpost will soon be blue as well. And they're really just trying to get this Shrine of War back. The main fighting at this point seems to be at the Shrine of War. On the bottom side, F12 is just getting further and further away from this obelisk. Not able to even make a real push at this point. They should probably run another distraction rally. The distraction rally worked. The closest they've gotten to this obelisk in the last 10 minutes was definitely the distraction rally to this Shrine of Life. So maybe they're running. Let's see if they're launching another one. They do have 6 rallies. They do have 6 rallies preparing. One of them to this Shrine of War. And the rest all to these altars. Here comes the VD rally for F12 to this Shrine of War. Another skirmish down here near the obelisk. Everybody enjoying their, you know, their endless troops. Let's see if there's been any healing in this. There has been healing. Interesting. So both teams are healing. I guess you can heal because they're not your own. They're not your own speed ups. So it looks like teams do also have speed ups. You wouldn't think you would need speed ups when you have 10 million of each troop type, but the action is going to be so fast and furious that I guess teams also need to heal. It will be interesting to see how much healing is done by the end of this match, because they are just going to keep open field fighting the whole way. And they are trying to swarm down this Hera. Good F12 numbers at this Shrine of War. They may take this building back. It's been a while since they got this Shrine of War. But F12 putting heavy pressure on this Hera YSS garrison in the Shrine of War. And it looks like it is going to change hands. F12 honestly looking pretty strong at this obelisk. I think really the big changes here, as much as we talk about the equipment being very good and the armaments being very good and everyone having all the commanders, I still think the biggest change is probably going to be that everyone has so many troops and that these cities are just so big. Because there's just no value to swarming down a city at all. And if a city does get to an enemy obelisk, you're just there's no way to get rid of it, and there's no way to even punish it. In Osiris League, what we see when an enemy obelisk is taken is that the original cities that are there, they will get swarmed down quite a bit. Now, if they're smart, they can just heal their wall with 50 gems. They can extinguish their wall and not get teleported away. But what you're at least doing is you're really punishing those players and making them heal over and over again. But in this, there's no punish. There's no punish. They're not your speed ups, and you have 450 million power. And there's no punish for a bad trade either, actually. And so the really big thing here is how much damage you do per second. It's not about your trade, it's about how much damage you do. And so I do think kill points are pretty reflective of contribution. It's not everything. It's not everything, because obviously some people will be garrison captains, some people will be arc carriers, some people will use Ethelfled Trajan, which gets bad kill points. But it's not about your trade, because they're not your speed ups. It's about the damage you do per second. And so people who pull their marches out very quickly will be quite useful in this Grand Prix. People who fight with their team will be quite useful in this Grand Prix. You don't want to get out ahead of your team, because you're not going to do very much damage that way, because you'll be outnumbered. You want to fight with your team, do a lot of damage, and accomplish actual objectives. And that's what all these teams are going to be looking for in the players they've chosen for this Ark of Osiris. And a team like S2K, which has players from many, many different kingdoms. You know, these are Korean players, but if we look at their roster, they're not all Korean actually. We have Baba TC Ataturk. We actually have a decent number of non-Korean players. I would imagine that Abo 9 Emil is also not Korean. This looks like a very, very mixed team actually. The more I look at it, I actually don't think it's made. I don't think it's really a Korean team. This to me looks like a group of players who used to be in 24-29, and they have brought on a lot of other players like Fatty, a Peach, and others, and formed like a very, very strong mercenary type team here. And they're looking very, very impressive in their first match. And I will say that this is Pool B. We're in Pool B here with S2K and F12. And this is one of the more wide open groups, actually. This is a group where there's not a clear favorite. In Group C, for example, there is a 2489 team. In Group D, there is a team from 2377, their flagship team, GV77. And so some of the groups have very, very clear favorites, but this group is wide open. And with this very strong performance in the first match, I do think that S2K is putting, they're really, I think, kind of becoming the favorites of this group. The other two teams in this group are Beer and 17C. Beer is another team that qualified through open signups, so they're going to be another mixed team. I believe they may be a mostly Korean team as well, although I'm not exactly sure. I think Beer might be a team that has like a leader from 1960. And then the fourth team is 17C, and I believe 17C is also a Realm of Sobek team. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, 17C is also in Realm of Sobek. So Pool B basically has two mercenary teams and two Sobek teams. And if this match is any indication of future results, the two mercenary teams are likely to be better than the two Sobek teams. Because this is an absolute blowout. This is one of the biggest blowouts we've seen in a very long time in Ark of Osiris. In Osiris League, anyway. And it all came about from S2K taking the F12 obelisk very early in the match. F12 captured it. They captured the obelisk right at the start. But they basically, what S2K did was they sort of fought at the Desert Altar. They won early on at the Desert Altar, but then their marches diverted. Most of their marches diverted and came to this obelisk there was also a Scipio Emilianus Tariq rally on hollow square formation. The rally and the swarmers hit this Eleanor garrison together, and it was just too much pressure. It was just basic applying pressure at the right place and taking the enemy obelisk. Zero, it was very close, by the way, right? Because 0 cities got teleported in from F12. If F12 just had a couple of cities here, they might have been able to get this obelisk back at some point and at least teleport more cities in, and we could have a really, really big old fight here. But it was just too overwhelming. It was too overwhelming of a win by S2K. And that, the match was pretty much over at that point. And it's just a good example early on in this Grand Prix qualifier that it's going to play differently. It's definitely going to play differently. And it will be interesting to see how evenly matched teams play this format differently, right? Will it be more offensive? Will it be more defensive? Will it be very mid-focused? Or will a lot of work get done on the sides? Because I think what we've seen in Osiris League this season is we've seen a lot of very sophisticated play, right? We saw teams that didn't win a single mid-fight, but managed to win the match because of how well they did on the sides, how well they took the opposing team's outposts, and how effectively they gathered. We also saw a lot of interesting skill usage. We saw 960 use a newly developed tactic from the Chinese server where they were able to get more than 10 skill points for mid by using certain gathering skills at the right time, returning gathering marches to their cities at the right time, and then literally having extra skills for a mid-fight. Will we see more interesting and advanced usage of alliance skills in this? Will we see sneaky tactics get used in cool ways? Will we see master strategy get used? I mean, master strategy in a Grand Prix situation is a very interesting skill. Very, very interesting skill, because every march you warp is just a max march. It's like an optimal meta endgame march. And so if you can apply pressure in the right spot with this god tier type of open field that you have access to, then master strategy can be used very effectively, I think. Not only for arc steals, not only for attempted obelisk captures. We'll see plenty of obelisk attacks via master strategy, I predict. But I wonder what else teams can do with master strategy. I mean, that may be it, because it's 6 points, so you don't want to use master strategy to just take an altar, for example. That would be a bad use of 6 points. But a lot of possibilities in this Grand Prix, and it'll be interesting to see how things play out. Matt Achilles, this is Brian Koo. Glad to have you here. I am a up-and-coming content creator in Rise of Kingdoms. I believe my channel details are listed somewhere in the description, and I would appreciate anybody who is enjoying the commentary to subscribe to my channel. I make lots of videos, do lots of live streams, and am a very devoted Osiris League player, or Ark of Osiris player. I believe my own team is playing right now. Let's see how that match is going. I did make the strategy for this match, so I'm hoping my team does well. I can predict without seeing how my team is doing right now. I can predict that the match that my alliance is playing in is closer than this match. I'm pretty confident of that. One way or another, I'm pretty sure it's closer than a 50,000 to 4K score here in this opening Osiris League matchup. Matt Achilles, thank you so much. Appreciate you dropping by and appreciate the kind words. Always nice to get some positive reinforcement as we kick off 3 straight hours of live casting. This match was a bit of a blowout, so, you know, I can understand if some people were watching other matches instead, but I do appreciate everybody who's hanging out, and I tried to make this as entertaining and informative as possible. S2K definitely dominating this thing from start to finish. From a kill point perspective, though, Luffy Taro is still in the lead. This city that got swarmed earlier. But shout out to Baba. Baba is in first place for S2K. Baba making an early run in the MVP voting for the Grand Prix. I don't actually know if there's an MVP award for the Grand Prix, but there should be. There actually should be. I'll actually probably bring that up in our caster Discord, because I think it would be pretty cool if some of the casters and maybe some of the Lilith staff, or who knows who else, maybe just some other content creators, it would be cool if we could vote for the MVP of the Grand Prix. I think that would be pretty cool. I do think that by the end of this, we will differentiate some of the players. I can certainly remember in the 960 versus 2489, that classic 3-game matchup from the last Osiris League. I can certainly remember Mr. Go making a lot of very, very big plays on the bottom outside lane for 960. And so players do stand out. Players absolutely do stand out. And in a situation like this, where everyone has the same equipment, everyone has the same commanders, and everyone has unlimited troops, it may be a little bit more difficult for 1 or 2 players to stand out. But I think if you just keep looking at these leaderboards and see which players are consistently getting the most kill points, that will point you in the direction of who the MVP is. Because like I said, it's really about how much damage you do per second. It's not about the trades, it's about how much damage you do. Finnick, appreciate you hanging out. One of your fellow chatters, TQ, is saying that we need to zero Finnick. And Matt Achilles is saying to tell Baba to give me a discount to put my hair in Turkey. You know, I'm sure Baba would, if that means that you're offering to join his kingdom, I'm sure Baba would have you, Achilles. But all the big names in ROK coming out for the Grand Prix. Some of the big names are chilling this weekend. They're just watching the action. The 4 teams that won their Osiris League realms last season, they do not have to play in the qualifiers. So that includes 1093, that includes 960, as well as 748, and the Sobek winner. They're already qualified for the grand finals, and we are trying to bring in 4 additional qualifiers from the pool play today. It looks like my team is actually in a very close match. We're actually losing with 3 minutes to go. Kind of a bummer. Wish I had been there. But, you know, you gotta focus on the Osiris League live stream. You got to focus on it. Even in a blowout match, there is plenty to look at, plenty to cover. 4 arcs being captured by S2K. So one thing that's going on here, right? Now, I don't know if the same player has captured all these arcs, but one thing S2K might be doing is letting the same player capture all of the arcs so that, you know, because there are sort of rewards, at least in the normal Osiris League, there are rewards for the player who returns the most arcs. There's a very nice player profile pick for the player who is the best arc carrier in a given Osiris League season. I don't think we're going to be able to see it on this server because obviously these are different accounts that players have. But when you get it deep in Osiris League, you do see certain players rocking this pyramid-like or sphinx-like avatar, and that's for people who have performed very, very well in previous Osiris Leagues. Oh, Finnick is actually in this match. Yeah, so this match is so relaxed that Finnick is in the chat and trying to grab the arc. So there you go. Cortex, welcome to the stream. TQ, my team is just the Handsome Devils. I'm in Kingdom 770. And we had a fairly tough opponent. We had more KP than them. But looks like we might have lost that match. So, F12 still trying to get this Shrine of War back. They've gotten it back a few times. They have managed to hold their obelisk. Now, I have to say, I am very confused why they have not teleported more cities in. You know, there is so much space to teleport more cities. They definitely have some teleports right now. So why did they never teleport more cities in? All these cities in the start zone. I do wonder why they did not ever teleport more cities in. Let's see if Finnick was able to... No, Finnick got wiped. Finnick did not get zeroed, but he did get wiped at the temple. One F12 player making things difficult at the temple. It is every ROK player's dream to return an arc in the Grand Prix. Is what I hear. It's my dream anyway. My dream is to return an arc in the Grand Prix. Xeno in the garrison. I think, you know, boy. I do wonder how many more Eleanors we're going to see get pressured in the obelisk at the start of a match. I don't think it's going to be that different than normal arc. I mean, obviously these open field marches hit harder, but I don't think they hit that much harder, and the defense hits harder as well. So I think Eleanor in the obelisk at the start of the match will be fine. But that remains to be seen. We'll have to see how the next couple matches go. If this match is any indication, then teams will play very, very aggressively. But I think it is hard to say. I think it is hard to say. Arc spawning in 1 second. Who is going to grab it for S2K? I think it's the same player. It seems like this player has been grabbing a lot of arcs. I could be wrong, but it seems like this is their designated arc carrier. He or she got their double C back to the arc, and I'm going to guess that this player has returned many, many arcs in this match. this will be the 5th arc that S2K returns in this match. They're going to get over 70k points in this match. And that is a crazy high score. That is a crazy, crazy high score. And so props to S2K for just really blowing up the scoreboard in this very first match. You know, not the most exciting outcome ever, but pretty cool to see like the extreme outcome right off the bat. 70k plus points for this mercenary S2K team. When I say mercenary, I just mean that they were from the open qualifiers. This is not a team from just one kingdom. This is a team from many kingdoms. And I think there can be an advantage in that, right? There can definitely be an advantage in being able to pick players from many different kingdoms. And I will have to find out how much practice teams can do. I'm actually going to ask my source. I'm going to ask one of my sources, Choppy from 2489, if it's possible for teams to practice. Like, I do wonder how a team like S2K practices for the Grand Prix. Can they practice against other teams on the Grand Prix server? It'll be interesting to find that out. Baba, thanks for hanging out in the chat. Appreciate it. And congrats on your team leading score of 249k points. Juan Garrison here with about a minute left in this match. We are on a 5-minute delay, and so the players are filtering out of the match. We are watching the closing 20 seconds. S2K finally gets this obelisk. 10 seconds left in the match, and S2K manages to snag the obelisk. So they ultimately did take both obelisks from F12. Pretty much a flawless victory for S2K, other than letting their enemy be the MVP. But a dominating score here. 20,000 points from the arc. 52,000 occupation score. They even gathered during this match. Dominating victory for S2K. 74,000 to 5,700. That is going to do it for this first match. I will be back in 5 minutes for a second match. This one figures to be much closer. 242A versus 64AC, two very strong teams. So please stay tuned. We'll be back in 5 minutes for the very next match, and I'll see you all on the flip side.
Never give up till you die. Never give up in this life. For every word that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind. Hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Get yours, sharpen your knife. Make way to find your destiny. Worship a man or a shrine. Can both three colors scattered in the wild town of wardrobes. Tearing down all the enemies. You better capture the arcs. The carriers may bug you down. Set up with us with this right. Sneaky Texas work as you pass the light. Carry on to the glory, to the great victory. Never give up till you die. Never give up in this life. For every war that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind. Hold your weapons, try to fight. For every kingdom that falls and rise, it's time to become legendary. Across the oceans, stories will be told. How you struggle, how you try to define the world. With a sacred name, you are the one chosen to start up the storm. Never give up till you die. Never give up in this life. For every war that you win bright, it's time to become. Never give up on your mind. Hold your weapons, try to fight. For every king.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are getting ready for the next match. It is coming up very, very soon. 242A against 65AC. In the previous, let's actually look at the results earlier today if we can. Okay, they didn't play in the earlier match, but 64AC were actually the third place team in Bastet last season. And 242A were the runner-ups in Sobek. So two pretty accomplished teams going at it in this second match. And we are going to get into that match in just a moment. Both teams teleporting in. 64AC played quite well in the Bastet realm last Osiris League. I would rate them as a favorite in this match over 242A. But that might be because I've actually seen 65AC play, and I have not actually seen 242A play before. I believe of the Sobek teams, 242A was considered a very strong team. And if I'm not wrong, 242A was kind of like a... I believe they're a very, very big kingdom that may have been the favorites. They may have been the favorites in Sobek. And I believe they might have even lost a match against a team that was not full. I think they might have lost. I think 242A might have lost to... I think they might have lost to 17C in the finals, where 17C may or may not have had a full team of players. Whereas 65AC, I do remember casting this team, and they were pretty darn strong. They look like a... potentially a Chinese kingdom? We will see. This match is going to kick off in 30 seconds. Very different castle skins for these two teams. I need to check what the stats are on this skin right here. Let me see if I can do that while this match kicks off. We are 5 seconds away from the start of the second match today. Thank you all for hanging out. $242A against 65 AC. Both teams casting energetic right from the start this time. First sentry being placed by 242A. Getting a look at the Desert Altar, which they will certainly be attacking here. And so the situation is that some teams will be playing 2 matches today, and some teams will be playing 1 match today. This is the only match that 65AC and 242A will be playing today. They will both be playing 2 matches tomorrow, but this is the only match for this first day. Both obelisks being captured. This sentry over here being spotted out. Who will get to it first? This fast double C from 65AC is going to reach first. He took a bit of a circuitous route to get there, but he will spot out this sentry ward from 242A. Again, a pretty old-fashioned start for both teams. Heavy on the inside, relatively light on the outside. Looks like 242A needs to swap captains here in the obelisk. This full Belisarius march got down the field very fast. And did some pretty good damage to the obelisk. I am curious to see what's going to happen on this Desert Altar. At the top side, it looks like 65AC is a little bit more assertive early on. So if we're going to be looking at a potential building flip here at the start, it seems to me that the most likely place it's going to happen is this Desert Altar. $242A posturing somewhat conservatively. No real need to be aggressive here. You're at the building, and ultimately, if you're the defense here, what you really want to do is you just want to get a solid trade. You want to do roughly as much damage to the offense as they do to you, because then you'll be able to teleport in, and even if they take this building, you'll be able to take it back within a couple of minutes, because you've just teleported so close. Popo, welcome to the stream. Tabby, glad to have you here. We are kicking off Game 2 of the Osiris League Grand Prix Qualifiers. 65AC from the realm of Bastet against 242A from the realm of Sobek. And they are making first contact right now. Some interesting commander choices. I see a Justinian primary out there. I saw a Honda primary out there. I saw at least one Guan, maybe 2 Guans. But look at this. Look at this dominance from 65AC. Wow. Wow. That is crazy. look at how dominant 65AC was there. As a reminder, in the Grand Prix, both teams have identical equipment, identical armaments, and they have all the commanders. So how the heck did 242A get so wrecked in that fight? They were probably a bit outnumbered. But my gosh, the targeting, the targeting of 65AC there was outstanding. And let's see if it was the same on the bottom side. It looks like it was pretty much the same on the bottom side. AC easily defending their Desert Altar. Although 242A did manage to take the Shrine of Life from the red team. But it looks like they're about to lose their Sky Altar because this huge 64 AC ball has got their sights set on a Hannibal Barca garrison. They did manage to switch to the Eleanor. But as we know, Eleanor is not very good against Swarm. Eleanor really does best when there's open field fighting around the building so that she can buff her own team's marches. She gives it a buff, an all-damage buff to nearby marches. And so that sort of helps her team win the open field as the fight is happening around her. But she has no teammates. She has no teammates nearby. The only march she had in the field near her was a Hannibal Barca garrison, or a Hannibal Barca march. Which I'm not entirely sure why anyone would be running Hannibal Barca. Looks like we have a very small 242A rally headed towards this Desert Altar. Only 660k inside this Scipio rally. But some decent open field from 242A. But the top of the map is completely red. 3/4 red. 65AC took this Desert Altar very early, and they won so convincingly at the Desert Altar that they will be able to get the first capture here in 10 seconds. That's a huge turn of events for 65AC. They will get 750 points of first occupation bonus, which is also removing 750 points from the blue team. It's a 1,500 point swing for 65AC to capture this Desert Altar right off the bat, which is worth 1/2 of the very first arc, which, by the way, spawns in 4 minutes. Boy, if you're 242A, you wish more people had filled up this rally. But it was enough. The rally was enough. The rally got launched. And between that and the Swarmers, 242A does take the Desert Altar from 65AC. They also got the first capture on this Shrine of Life. And that has kind of kept this game a little bit reasonable right now. It's only a 1,500 point lead for 65AC. The problem for 242A is that in 45 seconds, 65AC is also going to steal this Sky Altar, right? And so kind of a misallocation of resources here by 242A, where they decided to take the Desert Altar, but they're not going to get the first capture bonus. But what they could have done instead is they could have had all these marches come to the Sky Altar, take it back, and potentially get the first capture on this Sky Altar. So it's kind of a Pyrrhic victory here 4242A to flip this desert altar, because as they're doing that, they're going to lose this sky altar, and you're going to see the points for the red team jump up very quickly there. Maybe that wasn't first capture. In any event, a very strong opening for 65AC, a 2,300 point lead as we head into the first mid. 2 minutes to go before mid. 242A is getting there very, very late. 65AC seems to be right on time. They've even got some siege marches coming. That is another very interesting wrinkle in this Osiris League, is that because everyone has all the commanders, we may or may not see more siege marches in the mid-fight. This aggressive sentry from 65AC is actually going to spot out the sentry ward from 242A. You can see the mobilization of 242A to this mid-fight is just kind of scratchy. It's late. These marches that are just leaving the obelisk now are not going to reach mid on time. Even the marches over here are going to get there just as the arc spawns. Some of these players will be a bit late. And on the other side, 65AC is already forming a decent-sized ball. Although, to be fair, 65AC is a bit late here as well. 242A has regained all their buildings, and actually they have a building advantage right now as they hold the Shrine of Life. But that is largely because 64AC is quite focused on mid. 242A, they balled up very close. We kind of saw this in the last match too, right? We saw this with the other Bastet or the other Sobek team, where they had some players who were just caught out of position. You know, these marches getting killed right now were simply out of position. They were way too close to the temple. They were not near their teammates. 65AC had vision. 242A did not. And this mid-fight is really over before it even started because of the very solid engagement by 64AC. They attacked in, they had numbers, they cleared out that first line of 242A players, and now they're taking the fight on the north side of this temple while their arc carrier gets a very, very clean grab. So very well executed mid fight by 65AC. It's not rocket science. It's just, if the enemy is out of position, you engage on their side, you clear them out, you keep the fight on their side so that your arc carrier gets a very clean pull. And once that clean pull occurs, the mid-fight is basically won. The mid-fight is just won at this point. The arc is too far on 65AC's side, where even if there were a bunch of 242A marches here, they would just get wrecked walking to this arc. So, well executed first arc by 65AC. And that is going to be a very nice early lead for 65AC. A very quick return of the arc. No thought about holding the arc. They're just going to return it very, very quickly. And at this point, it is about a 6K lead for the team from Bastet. This is a Bastet versus Sobek match. There's a Frederick in the field as well. Frederick with... Is that Margaret? Who is that? not sure who the secondary is on this Dingo march. Frederick somebody. It looks a bit like Margaret, but I didn't remember that Margaret would wear a crown. It's the Epic Farmer. Oh, Queen Tamar. Okay. So, Dingo here has a Frederick Queen Tamar march. Oh, Matilda. Matilda. That's who I meant. I was saying Margaret, but I meant Matilda. Yeah. Okay, so it's Matilda. Yeah, so I think this gives like extra troop capacity, or Matilda does something that is useful. And so early game players will use it in Sunset Canyon. '65 AC has flipped the Sky Altar again as 242A attempts to assault this Desert Altar. We've seen this before where 242A is attacking on the outside lane, and as they do that, 65 AC just yoinks the Sky Altar. Yeah, so Dingo was going with a full capacity march. Frederick gives extra troop capacity, and Matilda also gives 15% troop capacity. And that is the reason why he was going with that march. Max filling. On the top side, we also see 65 AC on the attack on this Desert Altar. Pretty well-timed attack here. The open field is a little early compared to the rally. The rally is mostly full. Now, the last time we saw a fight here, we saw 65 AC absolutely clean up the blue team. I will say it looks like red team does have the numbers advantage again, right? It looks like they have a pretty substantial numbers advantage here. So I would not be surprised to see another dominating win for 65 AC. They're cleaning up the blue field as this rally hits. The garrison looks relatively full, where this Tariq, or this Emilianus Pakal rally is trading slightly positive. Now the Eleanor is being swarmed, and so this garrison is going to go down quite quickly.
Stand up, don't drown in the dust. The land of the sand ones a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way. Chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one. Bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name?
And that is going to be a 65 AC Desert Altar. The bottom side of the map also very red. And it looks like for the second match in a row, Sobek is on the back foot as they swarm back their own Sky Altar.
Stand up, don't draw in the dust. The land of the sun knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try. Chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one. Bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your
So as we survey the map here, it's almost as if 242A is able to take back one side of the map just as they lose the other. 65AC has also taken the Shrine of Life.
May break your bones, but you are stronger than the heaviest weight.
And Arc is in 2 minutes now. Both teams fully mobilizing to Arc. 242A really needs this Arc to make this competitive. They are mobilizing better. 242A is mobilizing to mid better than 65AC is. And they're also getting their buildings back as they mobilize mid. .65AC now posturing forward. They do have vision. Both teams have vision. 65AC posturing forward at this arc. This is a risky play. This is a risky play. But a decent one. 65AC will have to attack into 242A, which is not a bad thing. We've seen many teams attack in at the mid and have a lot of success. 2489 popularized that a few months ago in the Osiris League. But now... So this outpost rally is going through. Now they're very aggressively posturing. Look at how aggressively 242A is posturing forward. This is risky. This is risky. Sneaky tactics cast by 64AC, and they are going to just walk past this aggressive ball from 242A, and they're just going to go right to the temple. Look at this split. The split move by 65AC. And they are trying to minimize the forward posture of their opponents by just getting to the temple without a fight. No fighting. Arc being gathered by 242A and by 65AC. 242A is going to get it first. Big pull by 242A. At this point, 65AC has to strike. They have to break this sneaky tactics. They've waited till the last minute, but now they're attacking with sneaky tactics. And they are surrounding 242A, who did manage to grab the arc. Very close mid-fight here. This is what 242A needed. They got a pretty good start here. They grabbed the arc. The sneaky tactics was not that effective for 65AC. And so 242A, as they try to get back into this match, they very much need this mid win. And they have cast 6 points. Dust up in total vision. Dust up in sneaky tactics for 65AC. There was no delay between the first and second arc, and so neither team had a ton of skills. And this is fairly close, but 242A has a definite advantage here. Arc is on their side, and they have a lot of marches right at this arc. There are a lot of 65AC marches coming, but the blue team is doing damage right now where they need to be doing it. They've stayed as a pretty formidable clump here this whole time. 65AC has been attacking them from multiple directions. But this clump has held on so far. This beleaguered ball of 242A has held on. And they are just gradually cleaning up the 65 AC marches. Now, as this is happening, it's worth noting that as this is happening, 65 AC has flipped the Shrine of War, and they've flipped the Sky Altar. So they're doing a lot of work on the sides as they lose this mid. But this is a nice win for 242A here. They showed up in bigger numbers mid. They postured aggressively and somewhat forced 65AC's hand to use sneaky tactics. They responded to the sneaky tactics very well by grabbing the arc quite quickly. And they are going to win this second mid fight and make this a game that they still have a chance in. They still have a chance in, but they're just losing their buildings way too often. Let's quickly look at the top side. Even at the top side, what is happening at the top side actually is an ambush. 65AC is going for the ambush. It's a modest ambush. It's a very modest ambush. I mean, you can just look at the numbers and see that this ambush has no chance of succeeding due to the fact that they just don't have the numbers. In no way, shape, or form do they have the numbers to win this ambush. The escort of this arc is actually huge. There's a lot of marches escorting this arc. You can see actually now Victory Farm has turned around and become a real escort. And it looks like the ambush, they're actually changing their mind. It looks like 65AC is changing their mind. They're no longer doing the ambush. A few players are either not listening or have already committed. But they've called off the ambush and they're just going to take buildings. They're just going to try to take this desert altar. The limited blue defense is doing the right thing by swarming down this rally. John Wynn made a very good choice to just swarm down this rally. That's their best chance of holding this structure, but it's going to be very tough against a pretty significant swarm by 65AC. You can see how all the little micro decisions, or both decisions big and small, really matter in Ark of Osiris. This individual player, John Wynn, made a very good decision to swarm down the rally, and it's giving this altar a chance to survive. But the shot caller for 65AC made the really good decision to call off the ambush, sort of, and the players redirected from the ambush to swarming this building. They got the building. They denied points for the blue team. And as 65AC tries to secure the victory here, denying points on the buildings is going to be a great way to do it. You can see right now that the occupation points per minute is 130 for 242A, 510 for 65AC, and that really neutralizes the 3,500 points that 242A might get with this arc. You can see that 65AC is still harassing it. It's sort of halfway, but we have to look at the reaction. So here's the thing. There's a lot of 242A marches that decided to go for the Shrine of Life rather than go for this arc. And at the moment, I would say that there are more red marches heading towards this arc than there are blue marches. So the arc is still pretty close. I would give blue team the advantage here. They definitely have the advantage. They're moving it more and more to their side. This is quite a good run by this Huo, actually. This is a very good run by the Huo. None of these red marches were attacking the arc carrier, which was a big mistake. So now, all these marches that may have been wanting to ambush, they're probably going to decide against the ambush and just go to the Shrine of War instead. They'll do the same thing on the bottom side as they did on the top, because this arc is pretty secure. It's secure, but like 65AC still wants it. They still want it, you know? Yeah, so these marches that were thinking about the ambush, they're redirecting. They're going to the Shrine of War. They're flipping buildings. 65 AC is freestyling a little bit here. They're freestyling a little bit, but they're doing a lot of things right. I kind of like... Honda Garrison, by the way, is not going to get it done. 242A needs to get a good Garrison in here. There's the Eleanor. Good switch. They're swarming this rally down again. John Wynn again, swarming down the rally. Really textbook defense by this player. CSO John Wynn. They swarmed down the previous rally. They refreshed pretty quickly. And they got back in time to swarm down another rally. Although, you know, textbook defense, but they lost the altar in both cases. But, you know, you do what you can. You do what you can. So we are over halfway through this match at this point, and 65 AC has an 8,000 point lead. The Arc was returned. The Arc was returned by the blue team. But the building game for 65 AC is just way too strong. And a pretty interesting choice by 242A to attack this Shrine of Life while losing their Sky Altar. It's just much easier to play defense. It's much easier to allocate your marches to your own buildings. And what you're really seeing here is just that 65 AC is able to do more things at once than 242A is. 242A may be able to take back their Shrine of War, but as they devote everything to this Shrine of War, they're completely left out in terms of getting back their Sky Altar. These marches here are just not going to accomplish anything. They just can't accomplish anything against the size of this 65 AC ball. And they might not even get back the Shrine of War. I think what's surprising about this match to me is that somehow 65 AC is more effective in the open field than 242A, even though they all have the same equipment and commanders. Yeah, they have got about a 10% advantage in severely woundeds. Not massive, but we're just seeing so many situations where 65 AC is holding the field. They have more marches there, and they're just accomplishing lots and lots of objectives via winning the open field. And it's very interesting and very strange to see that in the Grand Prix when everyone has the same marches. So all four altars in control of 65 AC at this point. And 242A not really in a position to take back any of them. They do have a swarm on this desert altar. They might flip this desert altar, but there's no rally on it. No rally on it, and all their marches are very, very low. The Eleanor holding on here. Down to red. John Wynn and Koa Pham trying to swarm this thing down. You know, it's a simple life sometimes in Rise of Kingdoms. This player, John Wynn, has just sent all their marches out, all 5 marches out, fought at this desert altar, died, and then sent all their marches back once again. You'd like to see him get a win, you know, for all the effort they've put in. They're 0 for 2 so far. You'd like to see them at least flip this thing. And this Eleanor is getting low, but then getting rains. It just keeps getting rains. Look at this full Joan. This full Joan just running in to reinforce this Eleanor. This is why Eleanor is preferred in Ark of Osiris, is because people can bring reinforcements faster. They can bring cavalry reinforcements faster. They did bring a Hera. They're putting a Hera into this garrison in case it gets popped. I would imagine this Eleanor is quite close to being, you know, the march itself is close to dying. I believe they did put a Hera in here, so they can swap to the Hera if they need to. The next wave of blue marches is going to be enough to flip this building. Let's take a quick look at that report. Wow, look at that. 2-minute long rally, and a bit more before that, but a 2-minute long rally. Tons and tons of reinforcements in this building. Look at how many times 65AC had players swap out a march, a low march, and then put a full health march back in. They did this over a dozen times. Over a dozen swaps within 2 minutes in this building. That's actually incredibly impressive. Almost the most swaps that I've ever seen in an Ark of Osiris defense. And they still got a bad trade for it. They still got a bad trade for all that effort because Eleanor just is not that strong against Swarm. And so a lot of these marches, a lot of these marches got a nice trade against the Eleanor Hera, even though they kept this thing relatively full. So honestly, a pretty interesting report there. I just want to show it one more time. This was an incredible effort by the defense. Now it was kind of low the whole time, but an incredible effort by the defense, but still a bad trade. Like even as good as that defense was, it was a negative trade for the Eleanor. And we are 90 seconds away from this third mid-fight. Very strong mobilization for 65AC here. You can see that 242A was distracted getting back their buildings, which they had to do. They had to get back their buildings. But now their mid-fight is likely compromised. They could salvage this. The problem is they're so close to the temple. They're outnumbered at the temple, and yet they're standing very, very close to it. I think we will see 65AC push in very, very soon. They're getting a bunch of marches here in 15 seconds. Not too many marches coming for the blue team. So the time is right, I think, just about now for 65AC to push in. And it looks like they just have like a major numbers advantage here. Gonzalo getting a little chip damage in before this fight starts. Interesting that 65AC is taking their time. Now they're going in. They're making a definitive attack on the enemy. To the death cast by 65AC. To the death cast by 242A. Bog down as well from 65AC. They had 10 points saved up here. Bog down as well from 242A. Matching skills. Big third arc fight here for both teams. We're seeing the sad faces from 242A. You're not seeing any sad faces from 65AC. This looks like a pretty one-sided affair. We saw Ashley's Joan be the first march to charge in. Ashley's Joan is still alive. That's always a good sign. When you're the first one to charge in and you survive the whole fight, that means the fight went very, very well for your team. And that is a clean sweep of the mid by 65AC. And the arc scooted away in the middle of all that. I'm sort of just like admiring the haze that this bog down creates at the temple. Kind of a cool look there. SRET in the chat making the point that there's healing via gems. Yeah, we have seen teams healing today. And I wonder how many gems they have. I will have to ask how many gems each player has as well. Teams are able to practice on this Grand Prix server. You can set up custom matches with any other players. And you can also ask Lilith to arrange official scrimmages. So all of these teams are able to practice as much as they want. And all players have 10 million gems to use. So they can use their gems to heal over the course of this Grand Prix. We can see that 242A is healing. 65AC is not healing at all. You wonder if 65AC is thinking about the future, thinking about needing to save these 10 million gems for this entire qualifiers period. They could potentially have more important matches down the road. And potentially, they might not refresh the gems before the Grand Prix finals, right? These players might not get a fresh 10 million gems before the Grand Prix finals next weekend. So, teams would be smart to hold on to their gems if they don't need to use it. But this is a pretty interesting opportunity for all of the accounts that are on this Grand Prix server, because they can run custom matches all day long if they want. They can run pickup games. Solo players can join custom matches and form teams of 30 and just play practice games. So a pretty great opportunity for all these players to play a lot of Arco Osiris against other good competition. And I would imagine there are some teams taking real advantage of it, right? If you're a team of 30 and you can, get some, like, one practice match a day, you're getting a lot of reps. Your players are getting a lot of reps that everyone else in Rise of Kingdoms is not getting. And that can make your players much better at Ark of Osiris, which is very much a skill game. Ark of Osiris is very, very skill-based. Teamwork matters, strategy matters, but the individual decisions of players also matter. Shout out to 242A for actually managing to get this Shrine of Life a number of times during this match. Actually, right now, the occupation score is very much in 242A's favor. They're down one arc. They're down 13k points. There will be another arc in this match. Huyu asks, how many KP do AC have? I could check that pretty quickly. I won't give you, I can't give you Fleisch's stats, but I can give you the 1093 stats, which are fairly accurate. 65 AC is in... Maybe you might be asking about the match. In the match, they have 68 million. In their actual kingdom has 500 billion KP. So 3065 is a strong A kingdom. 50 billion KP or 500 billion KP is not, it's not like top tier A kingdom, but it's pretty close. And this is a nice performance by 65 AC. 242A putting up a nice defense at their Desert Altar. Barely holding on at the Shrine of Life.
Let it be. All that weakness, rest in peace. I learned about the recipe when I was younger, reckless. Now I'm chasing the glory, gonna be fine. Working so hard, matter of time.
On the bottom side, 65AC continues to control this enemy Sky Altar. They've been consistent at this Sky Altar throughout the match. Just putting more numbers at this building as 242A gets a little bit distracted taking the enemy Shrine of Life. And this is pretty much where most of the fighting at the Sky Altar has taken place, where 65AC just has the numbers advantage and they just block the blue team from ever even getting to this Sky Altar. I mean, a rally got through, but barely. This Nevsky rally barely got through. It's already down to about 15% health when it finally reaches the Sky Altar. .65AC is in a very difficult group in this Grand Prix qualifier. They have Evil Empire and 2489 in their group. 2489 right now is handily beating Evil Empire in another match that's being streamed. So it will be interesting to see how 65AC does against upper competition. They were a strong team in the Osiris League, but Evil Empire and 489 are definitely a step up. Once again, you see an interesting focus by 242A where they're sort of just going for the enemy Shrine of Life and letting their own building remain occupied. You know, Watercrest sort of choosing... Watercrest thinking better of it, but, you know, Dino here is just like, you know, sending a very, very low march to this Shrine of Life rather than killing it off at the Sky Altar, refreshing quickly, and coming back. You can see Dino here even with Dino's next marches, they are headed to the Shrine of Life rather than fighting at the Sky Altar. And I think that is why we have seen this building be held more consistently than Blue Team's other Desert Altar, because the players at this Desert Altar, they have consistently just died quickly, played aggressively, refreshed their marches, and come right back here. And so there has been an ebb and flow to this Desert Altar, whereas this one, it's just solidly in 65AC's hands, and the only time they really lose it is when it's time to go mid, because as you see, some of these marches, even though they're at half health, they're deciding to give up on the Sky Altar and send these half health marches towards the middle. They're going to try to cut off the blue team as they gather mid. Another very, very strong mobilization for 65AC. They can see these marches. They can see most of the ball. They can see how thin the blue team's ball is at the temple. And so you wonder if they go in early here, because they're very, very numerous right now. 65AC is quite numerous at the mid. And they're also cutting off some of the reinforcements. I like this move. I think teams should do it more often. If you have marches that are in this area here, tell them maybe that instead of refreshing or dying off, send their half health marches. You know, they're just yellow health marches that came from the Sky Altar, but they're putting in a lot of work. They're putting in a lot of work hitting marches that are trying to walk to mid. So really good use of marches by the player who came from the Sky Altar. Dust Up used by 65 AC. They want to go in soon. They've let... Well, they still have a huge numbers advantage. You can see just how much thicker the red team's ball is than the blue team. Almost a 2-to-1 advantage here. A really, really big advantage in numbers for the red team. Heaven's Grace being used by blue team, and boy, are they going to need it. The sad faces are already coming. The sad faces are outpacing the heals. It's Dust Up and Sneaky Tactics against Dust Up and Heaven's Grace. Blue has the better skills by a bit, and they have enough to cast Total Vision. But boy, are they outnumbered. They are just so heavily outnumbered here. These marches are still ambushing players. I mean, this player's marches, this Joan and this Justinian, these marches have put in so much work, all at yellow health. No one has been attacking them. All these marches are being weakened as they get to the temple, and that is just another blowout mid-win for 65 AC. Japs in the chat saying AC Masterclass. It has been a pretty nice performance here. You know, 242A has... They've done enough well that I would say that this has been they've been like decent competition for 65 AC. But 65 AC has just applied really good pressure. It hasn't been like precise. Their play has not been precise here, but their play has just been solidly aggressive in a bunch of spots. They pressured the buildings enough where on the last two arcs, they had a major numbers advantage mid, and they just won the last two. They won the first, third, and fourth arcs very, very solidly. They harassed the heck out of the second arc as well. And so they just caused mayhem. For those who have seen the auto insurance commercial with the character Mayhem who, you know, drives around running into cars, 65 AC created mayhem in this match. And mayhem is tough to deal with. Mayhem does run into things. It makes some mistakes. You know, they lost the second arc. Their Shrine of Life has been taken a bunch of times. At times, the blue team has had more occupation score. But you've just seen so many big red balls putting in massive work. They're again harassing this Shrine of War. This bottom side has just never been able to get steady. They're going for the Shrine of Life again, but they're going to lose the Shrine of War as it happens. So we've watched two matches now today, and it does seem like aggression. Aggression is the name of the game. Aggression is the name of the game. Just get out there fast, do damage fast, and then come back again and repeat. And this is why you're seeing the better teams use 3 cavalry marches. We're seeing Justinians on the field for 65 AC. We're seeing XYs on the field. The cavalry marches is really the meta because you have to get back to the fight quickly, right? Everyone has unlimited troops. They have gems to heal. At this point, we've seen both teams heal. So we do know that teams are running out of troops. 10 million of each troop type is not enough. Teams are running out of troops, and they are gemming heals. Because teams are just playing very, very aggressively. They're joining the fight fast, they're dying fast, and they're coming back to the fight fast. And while they're doing all that, they're hopefully putting out a lot of damage as well. Let's look at the scoring here compared to the last match. Scoring is actually higher. The scoring in this match is actually higher than in the last match. The blue team, which is losing, actually has the top 2 performers in this. But yeah, higher scoring in this match actually than the previous one. Because I think the fights have just been bigger. There's been more marches in these fights. Two minutes left. It looks like 65AC is going to basically double the score of 242A. At the moment, the blue team does have both buildings on the bottom side. This is almost the first time in the whole match they've had both of these buildings. And they're actually going to defend. They're actually going to defend the Sky Altar this time. They swarm down the rally. They reinforce the building. The swarmers get eaten up after the rally. And yeah, it doesn't seem like the Grand Prix is too complicated. It's just about putting your marches in the right place at the right time. That's really what it's about. You can get to the fight quick. You just have to go to the right place. You know, and some of these forays down to this Shrine of Life, I think were pretty questionable. When instead of taking the Shrine of Life, you could have potentially defended the Sky Altar more often. The Shrine of War was largely pressured because of the mid-fights. A lot of the pressure on the Shrine of War came after a mid-fight. Or it came when 65AC was thinking about ambushing and then redirected. And in this lane here, I think that 65AC just fought better. I mean, we saw it at the very start of the match. At the very, very start of this match, we saw 65AC easily win a fight at this Desert Altar, even though both teams have the same equipment, have the same armaments. And, you know, targeting does matter. You really have to target efficiently in Ark of Osiris. You don't want to be standing around. You always want to be doing damage. And you want to be targeting the same marches as your teammates. So there it is. Victory for 65AC. City Keeper MVP, 332,000 points. That's a much bigger score than we saw in the first match. Just a solid victory in all categories for 65AC, doubling the score of their Sobek opponents. 97 million kills to 84 million kills. And that is going to do it for the second match. Let me go ahead and take you to the second intermission, and we will be back very soon with the third game.
Nowhere to hide. It's time to face the dark and fight them back. The moon is turning into evil red, burns the desert into ash, ruin the ark with chaos fire. Yeah. Survivors won't pray for luck. Belief could be hard as rocks. Go against the deepest dark. The calling you above the sky. This war will end with the bravest man. Stand on the regroup for the fight. Now we've come back. I'm wondering who I am. Born through the fire, chasing for the meaning of the.
Alrighty. We are now getting ready for the third game. This, I think, will be the highest skill game that we watch today. It's going to be HJK against W34X. W34X is probably familiar to players or to viewers as the main team from Kingdom 2934. They made it to the finals of the Osiris League last season in Bastet. HJK, by my understanding, is a team from Kingdom 1188, and so they will likely be a strong team as well. I'm just looking at the scores earlier today. W34X actually beat WIB earlier today. So W34X won against 1846 earlier today. And HJK beat 16OT earlier today. So 16OT was a finalist in the realm of Horus last season. And HJK scored a dominating victory earlier today against 16OT. So both of these teams are 1-0. And this is really for control of Group A. The winner of this game will be in the driver's seat to advance to the finals, as they will be 2-0 in Group A. So we will be getting into this game very soon, but this is exciting. This should be a very good game. HJK against Meet a New World. Oh, looks like we've got a bit more time. They're adding a bit more time for everybody to take a quick break here. But let me go ahead and give you the exact scores of the previous match. Actually, let's go ahead and update all of the scoring so far today. So in the early session, W34X beat Watch It Burn by 4K points. That's a pretty big upset. Beer beat 17C. S2K dominated F12. I casted that game. And HJK won 45K to 15K against 16OT. A very surprising outcome. A dominant victory for HJK against the Osiris League finalists from 16OT. And in the most recent most recent session, we had GV77 beat AVG by 8,000 points. Battle Bunnies beat Aqua by 6,000 points. The match I casted, 65AC, won handily against 242A. And Team 489 beat Evil Empire by 13K points, which I think was expected. I think 489 was the favorite in that match, but worth noting that it was not all that close. Yep, very impressive victory against 16 OT for HJK. And so Meet a New World will be up against it, but I mean, for Meet a New World to beat WIB, that's incredibly impressive as well. That's a very impressive win for W34X. So this is a very big match that we have coming up now. HJK against W34X. It'll be very interesting to see what these two teams bust out. It does look like they're pushing back the start of these matches a little bit at this point. But I hope you are all doing well in this first day of the Global Champions Grand Prix. This will prove to be a very interesting competition. Obviously, last season we saw 2489 win the whole thing. They beat all of the Chinese teams as well as very established international teams like 1093 and 960. This is a really good recruiting opportunity for all of these kingdoms, right? I think it's interesting that HJK, which I believe is 188, it's interesting they're not using 188 in their name and making it clear who they are. Because I do think that if you perform very well in the Grand Prix, that gives you a lot of credibility as a kingdom, and it makes recruiting top talent that much easier. And I think we've seen that with 2489. Looks like that my match might have... 1 second. Let me... Okay. There's a bit of a bug, but actually the match has begun, and let me get you guys in here real quick. Let me go ahead and back out, and I will try this again. 1 moment. Hmm. 1 moment, everybody. All right, now we're good to go. Looks like we didn't miss too much. Players are just leaving the start zone for the first time. Obelisks have not been captured yet. We missed them casting Energetic, but that's about it. And so we are ready to go for a very big match here between HJK and W34. Both teams won their matches earlier today. They both beat storied Osiris League alliances. W34X here, the red team, beat 1846. And the blue team, HJK, beat 16 OT. So we are seeing some of the best that this qualifying pool has to offer in the match right now. Two Korean teams. Both teams mainly Korean. W34X from Kingdom 2934 and HJK is rumored to be a largely 188 group. And I believe I recognize the name LV Panther from 188. So Sentry being spotted out here by HJK. There will be no vision on the bottom side for the red team. The vision here is quite useful because you just never know if it's worthwhile to attack or not on this outside lane. You can see on the top side that the red team has heavy presence on the outside. It almost is like they're making no real attack at this desert altar. Or if they do make an attack, it's going to get picked up very aggressively by blue. But very big attack on the top side for W34X. But it's being countered pretty well by HJK. They have a pretty sizable defense on the outside lane. And on the bottom side, as per usual, we have first contact at the desert altar. Looks like a bit of a numerical advantage for W34X. They should be able to parlay this numerical advantage into a win at this desert altar fight. Skills popping off for both teams. Desert altar opening in 50 seconds. Sad faces on the blue side. Looks like W34X is holding strong at this desert altar. That will make life simpler for them because some of the other lanes are a bit complicated. HJK is aggressive on the... they're aggressive on this bottom side, but they're not really going for the Shrine of Life. They're not going to get anything. So they're also being stymied here. HJK being stymied on both lanes on the bottom. Let's take a quick look at the top. Very much stymied here. Very much stymied here. And this really aggressive push by W34X was picked up quite well. So defense winning in all four lanes. I think we're seeing defense win in all four lanes. The only one that might be different is this Shrine of Life, but even here, it doesn't seem like the blue team is going to get anything from this aggression. They might be able to slow down first occupation, but they have to keep in mind that mid is in 7 minutes. And so if you stay at this Shrine of Life for too long with half-health marches, you're not going to get to mid on time. And so you're just going to see the blue team sad facing their marches as quickly as they can. This player here is looking for a place to die. He could probably be looking... There's better places he could be looking because there's giant cities you can smash yourself against. But HJK is going to swarm down this Shrine of Life. And what this does is it forces W34X to commit marches to take this thing back. And so it potentially delays players like Icy or JS from getting to mid on time. Although they still have 6 minutes, and so I do think W34X can clean this up in time and get to mid on time. Both teams have all of their own buildings. Both teams are sad facing their marches against enemy buildings, hoping to get to mid early. And what we're seeing here compared to the last match, the last two matches, is that when the two teams are both very high-end teams who are very good at Ark of Osiris, it's very tough to find an edge, right? It's very tough to find an edge. Again, you're seeing that HJK has flipped this Shrine of War. That's going to slow down the points generation a bit. And it could potentially slow down some marches from going mid. But even here, I think that Red Team will get their Shrine of War back. They will get first occupation on this Shrine of War. And their mid won't be all that compromised. And so both teams are looking for small edges where they can find it. You know, you get a little bit of a small edge by delaying the point generation on a few buildings. And this is interesting. Red Team is going for an attack on this Sky Altar. They're going to end up going to mid-late from this lane. This is something we've seen a number of teams do. This is something that 1093 likes to do. They like to keep working this Sky Altar as the mid approaches. Mid is 4 minutes away. We are seeing that blue team is already mobilizing mid. They're mobilizing to mid early from the start zone. But red team is looking for an attack on this Sky Altar. And there's also a rally coming to the Shrine of Life. Yeah, so the rally is preparing on the Sky Altar. It looks like it's a mistiming. This looks a bit mistimed by Red Team, where their marches are already at the Sky Altar, but the rally is leaving just now, and the rally is still over a minute away, right? So this attack is not going to work for W34X. It's maybe a bit of a distraction, but the issue is that these marches from JS and CY, who we talked about earlier, you know, they're even now they're not swarming this building. Look, these marches are not swarming the building. They're trying to clear the field. They're going to try to clear the field. But look, there's defense coming back. I think this was a good, interesting decision by blue team to send marches back to the Sky Altar. They have correctly assessed that if they send marches back, they'll be able to defend it. So just a mistimed attack here by W34X. I think the rally just came out too late. The rally came out too late here. Blue team had to devote some marches, but they're going to defend their Sky Altar, and they will likely take the Shrine of Life, because these marches are already here. They're not going to get to mid on time. And so they will take this Shrine of Life as a consolation prize and hope that their teammates can win the mid fight. But you're seeing in all the lanes that HJK is devoting a lot of marches to the sides right now. They're devoting a lot of marches to the side. They're going for the Sky Altar. They might go for the Shrine of War as well. They're thinking about going for the Shrine of Life, but the Desert Altar is more promising, so they'll go for the Desert Altar. And so they're very light mid. Blue's very light mid. Red does not have vision. W34X does not have vision of how light the blue numbers are mid. If they knew, they would probably go in. And it's almost like they suspect something because they're going in anyway. They're like, we see blue marches everywhere else on the map. They must not be mid. And so W34X is going in mid. They're in very good position to take mid. And the question is, will HJK get enough from these forays on the side to make up for the 3,000 points that W34X is inevitably going to get from this first mid? Right now, the occupation score is pretty even. As the minutes go on, we will see the occupation flip in favor of HJK. They're going to hold this Desert Altar for a bit here. This player is making an interesting decision. I don't know what this player is doing, honestly. If I were this player, I would be at this Desert Altar. I would be at this Desert Altar defending it for as long as I possibly can, trying to get some points. I really don't like what this player is doing right now. They're just not doing anything. They're not accomplishing anything. This arc is going to be taken by W34X. I mean, if this player can stay alive, maybe they can harass the arc a little bit. What if the arc goes this way? What if the arc goes to the right? Then this player can't do anything. And so this player really should have been at this Desert Altar, defending this Desert Altar. They might have been able to hold off this this swarm, although the Herman Garrison is not great. But arc is spawned, clean grab by W34X. That was predictable. They have a huge numbers advantage mid. Both teams cast 6 points of skills mid, which is a little light, right? You generally have about 8 points for that first mid fight. So the skill casting was a little bit light here, where both teams kind of knew that mid was a foregone conclusion. W34X gets their Desert Altar back. The points at this point are very much in HJK's favor. They're getting about 500 points per minute advantage right now, but they need to maintain that advantage for 6 minutes to make up for this arc capture by W34X. So, an interesting trade. I think W34X just played it by the book. They went heavy on the first mid. And I think playing it by the book is going to win out here over the very optimistic, aggressive, and nuanced play by HJK, where they were light mid and they tried to take all of the enemy buildings. They did take some. They took this Sky Altar, and they have open field defense at the Sky Altar. But this Desert Altar got flipped back very quickly. They didn't get a garrison in the Desert Altar. They had only a Herman garrison, and some of their players got distracted by pointless fighting rather than defending here. And so I would say round 1 is in W34X's favor, although the minutes keep ticking away where HJK has a massive, massive points lead here. At this point, all the buildings are... Actually, that's not true. This Sky Altar is really the key to what HJK has done here. This Sky Altar is generating them a lot of points. It's going to neutralize most of what is scored by this arc. But this is a close match. This is going to be a close match the whole way. And with both teams having the exact same equipment, the exact same commanders, and nearly unlimited troops, you need to find small edges and small advantages. And I think in round 1 here, it is W34X that has found a small advantage by capturing this first arc. Their only issue is, man, they are taking a long time to figure out how to take back this Sky Altar. These HJK players here are just putting in a lot of work. A lot of work. There's no concerted effort to clear this ball. They're running in haphazardly. They're running in one at a time. And you wonder if there's going to be a second wave of defense here. It's already forming a little bit. Look, they're harassing the Eleanor. This Eleanor is going down. This Eleanor is dust. She is dust. They got a garrison in place minutes before they had the field. The Eleanor got there before everybody else. She was trying to hide. She got picked up by this Nevsky. And she's just running for her life. But where's she going to go? Where are you going to go? I don't like taunting Eleanor. You know, Eleanor's my girl. I want the best for her. But in this case, I mean, at this point, you just kill yourself off, right? What are you running for? Just kill yourself off and refresh. So, W34X is eventually going to get this building back, but several minutes of occupation score in favor of HJK on the blue side. For those who are just tuning in, we have a very big matchup here in, I believe it's Group A. And yes, this is Group A. And these are two undefeated teams. They're both 1-0. 293-4 beat 1846 earlier today. And HJK, which is mainly a team from Kingdom 188, they beat 16OT earlier today. So these are two undefeated teams fighting for control of this group. When 2934 returns this arc, they will have a 500-point lead. They are choosing to hold the arc for now. It is unclear which team has the stronger mid, because the first mid was just a huge numerical advantage for W34X, as HJK decided to focus on the sides during that mid fight. And now the question is, as the red team holds the arc, the question is, can HJK maintain that side advantage in between arcs? And we are seeing them take the Desert Altar here. Very nice attack by HJK on this Desert Altar. Rally plus Swarm is the way. This is the way. A few light reinforcements in this garrison. But the garrison was ripped apart by the Swarm plus Rally of the blue team. I do sort of wonder how much we're going to see of Eleanor garrisons. I think there's a world where the Hera YSS garrison is better because it's stronger against Swarm. And with these close buildings, I wonder if you try to get a Gorgo Charles in here. Like, if you're HJK here, where you have like a minute or two before this building gets attacked, don't you try to get like a Gorgo Hera or a Gorgo Charles into this building? I mean, Gorgo Hera is not terrible with mixed troops, and it's so good against Swarm. Rally coming through for W34X. The rally is going to be by itself against this Desert Altar. Nobody there to swarm it, though. Now you have a couple players chasing it. But these players probably would have been better off being right at the building all the way. Panther swarming with his double C. They're going to swarm this rally down, which is what they need to do to protect this building. And it's going to take another wave. It's going to take another entire wave of W34X to take this building back. And they've also taken the Shrine of War on the top side. So HJK is quite effective on the sides, and that has caused W34X to return the arc. They have returned the arc. We have another arc in 6.5 minutes. W34X has seen enough of this side play. They are getting beat on the sides, no question about it, and so they want to try their luck in the mid. Yeah, HJK is not a community team. They are not one of the teams that were formed in the open qualifying. HJK has their spot because of how highly 188 placed in the Osiris League. So bottom side of the map now completely blue. Some of these garrisons need a bit of an upgrade. The XY garrison actually holding up here against a double swarm. If they can hold, that's pretty big. You almost want to throw this Wallace in right now, right? Don't you just throw the Wallace in the building and swap to the Wallace? Because you'd love to hold this building, but it flips back. Arc in 5 minutes. W34X will take their Desert Altar back finally, as HJK is quickly sad-facing their marches, which is a sign that HJK is preparing for a very big mid. They actually got to mid early last time. HJK actually got to mid first last time, but then nobody else came to mid, and W34X just had the bigger ball. But I think with the lack of defending this Desert Altar, although this player is still defending. This player is still defending, which is interesting. Yeah, they're giving up this Desert Altar so they can go to mid. I think that HJK is going to go for a very heavy mid here. And it's worth noting that their lead is only 1,300 right now. It's going to go to about 2K or so before these buildings get corrected. At this point, W34X has all their buildings back. But HJK posturing heavily mid. Very big mobilization from the bottom side. Light mobilization from the top. Decent mobilization from top for red. And very heavy mobilization bottom. It looks again like, even though W34X was busy taking back their buildings, and they have like 10 to 12 marches over here, it looks like they're forming up equal numbers mid. At this point, they once again have more people mid. There are some rallies still going. W34X has... or HJK is rallying at 4 places. HJK has 4 rallies going right now. No rallies for the red team. 4 rallies for blue, 0 rallies for red. HJK is once again committing some marches to... Look at this. This player, couple of players here, are not going middle. They're going to the Shrine of War. So, will the numbers for blue team be compromised again at mid? Very interesting strategy for HJK. You wonder if they're biting off more than they can chew? Or are they saying, we can win this match without winning mid? I think what they're doing is they're saying, we might not win this mid, but if we don't win this mid, it can still be okay because, number 1, we can harass the crap out of the arc carrier. 2, we can score better on the sides. And 3, there's always going to be that third arc as well. They can certainly... The numbers here are even enough that they can make this second arc capture difficult for W34X. And I will correct myself, these players were not going for the Shrine of War. They were going for the cutoff. They were going for the cutoff play, a very similar cutoff play as we saw from 65AC last match, but to the death being cast by W34X. They're going in heavy. Heaven's Grace, Bog Down, and Dust Up for HJK. Total Vision and To the Death for W34X. This is a solid To the Death. They have a slight numerical advantage. A good time to use To the Death. Is it going to be enough? Is it going to be enough against Dust Up, Heaven's Grace, and Bog Down? A very solid set of skills for blue team that will last longer than To the Death. Did they get enough of a push with that To the Death? I don't really think they did. I don't think they got enough of a push with that To the Death, which at this point has worn off. And now all that's left is Total Vision against 10 points of skills for HJK. At this point, a big advantage for HJK. They also have the numbers mid. I don't hate the To the Death play, but I guess they did not have an advantage, you know? If they had any advantage, it was very, very minor, and they just did not kill off the HJK marches fast enough to leverage that advantage. You have to kill off marches in that To the Death moment to get an advantage. And it may be the case that everyone just has too strong of marches for To the Death to be effective. These marches might go down so slow that To the Death is just not the optimal skill. In any event, HJK with a very big win here. They cannot hold this the whole time. There will be a third arc. So this match is still very much up for grabs. Buildings equal on both sides. W34X is taking some outposts right now. They're taking some outposts. And they're getting them for free. They're getting these outposts for free. So that's notable. But HJK is going to try to take this Shrine of War off the mid. The escort is pretty light. Pretty light escort for this art carrier. Pretty light escort. It kind of feels like W34X is thinking about it. It kind of feels like they're thinking about it, but they might be too slow. They might be too slow. Yep, they thought about it, but they're just going to go to defend this Shrine of War. So big plays mid for HJK. They absorbed the To the Death and just bounced off it with a big win mid. Now they're going to flip the Shrine of War. Or are they? Or are they? Or are they? Very important defense here. Very, very important defense by W34X. They had to have that defense. They have to keep this game even. They have to keep it even from here until the next arc. If anything, you'd like to see them close the gap a little bit. Interesting that we're not seeing much gathering. We're not seeing much gathering. Buildings are even on both sides. Another big attack on this Desert Altar. This is big. This is big if HJK can get this. They've put in a lot of work at this Desert Altar. They've held it for long stretches of time. Can they get it? The rally... Somebody got a reinforcement into this rally. Clutch reinforcement. Another reinforcement into this rally. The open field is just completely worn out. Interesting. W34X cleared the open field rather than clear the rally. But they're going to get another close defense here. Two very close defenses by W34X. Very close defenses. And they needed that. They absolutely needed that. They do have a slight lead on occupation at the moment because of the outpost they took earlier. And it looks like they even flipped the obelisk for a moment. But once HJK returns the arc, HJK will have a 5,000 point lead. The third arc will only be worth 4,000 points. And so W34X has a very daunting task ahead of them. They need to win the third arc, and they need to find another 1,000 points some way, somehow, to close this gap against HJK. And let's be real, this is a big step up for W34X. Yes, they played 1846 earlier, so they've gotten a taste of the Realm of Horus competition, but W34X is a much younger kingdom. They were in the let me tell you what realm they were in. I want to get this right. W34X was in Bastet last season. Bastet is strong, but these Horus teams like HJK, which is 188, these Horus teams are another level compared to Bastet. So this is a big step up for W34X. They've already beaten 1846, but they absolutely have their hands full here against HJK. And boy, this game has quieted down, hasn't it? This game has really quieted down. Here's the attack. Here's the attack for HJK. They're chilling on the bottom side, but they are busy on the top side. Another Eleanor besieged. But another defense by W34X here. They're going to hold on here. They swarm the rally down. There's just some swarmers left, and these will get cleaned up one at a time. Just mow down the line. Kill the Justinian. Kill the Ethel. Take down the Huo. There it goes. Leave King Justinian for last. And that's another cleanup. That's another cleanup by W34X, which is the bare minimum of what they need. You wonder where, because W34X knows what they have to do. They know they have to flip some buildings. I mean, they're not gathering. They're not gathering at all. And so they know they have to flip buildings, but like, how do you do it when you've been on the defensive for this entire match? You know, they're even down here. They're just on defense. They're just on defense. They're trying to attack at the Sky Altar. Their open field is pushing at the Sky Altar. They're trying to swarm it, but there's no rally here. Oh, there is a rally. Okay, rally plus swarm on this Sky Altar. A promising attack, to be sure, on this Sky Altar. Big reinforcements from HJK, who certainly knows the score here too, and knows what they need to do, which is keep their buildings. It's not that complicated. You're seeing marches get thrown into this Sky Altar. Way more rains on the garrison than on this rally that is now sad facing. So defense after defense. And that has been the trend in this match. We've seen buildings flip here and there, but there's been a lot of close fights where the defense has managed to hold. These teams are so even in terms of equipment, commanders, and armaments that really the advantage is just who has cities that are closer. Who can get marches to the fight faster. And that is why defense has been holding in many, many situations. The arc was returned. Or no, the arc is still being held. I'm sorry. The arc is still being held. So both teams will likely have 10 points for this last arc. We know that HJK will have to the death. The question is it on the bar and do they want to use it? Or would they rather just use the same skills they used last time? I tend to think to the death is not great in the Grand Prix. I tend to think these other skills that last for 3 minutes are better. W34X still defensive on the top side. They're trying to muster an attack on the Shrine of Life, but their field is going to have to divert and play defense. We are seeing a mix of rallies being used today. Asher Henry for archers, but we're also seeing some Emilianus rallies on the infantry side. We're not seeing cavalry rallies, really. Cavalry being used on defense with this Eleanor Hera garrison. So another defense by W34X, but the thing is, because they're succeeding on defense, they're failing on offense. And the point gap is at 1700. It's pretty steady. Occupation is basically even. And W34X is just unable to get the points they need. And so what they're likely going to need to do is they're going to have to go to mid late. They've seen HJK go to mid early on the first 2 arcs. And so if they decide to go to mid late and try to take some buildings before going to mid, that's likely the only way they'll be able to win. Because they're just not getting anywhere at the moment on the offense. They're just not flipping any blue buildings. In fact, I don't know that they have flipped a blue building this entire game. They might have flipped this Sky Altar briefly, but really they have not taken a blue building at all, other than the outposts. So HJK is just steady chilling. They've got three and a half minutes left before they have to return this arc. And there will then be a 7-minute respawn time. And so there will be about 8 minutes to return this last arc. And W34X just hopes that in the chaos of that, they can somehow pick up now 2,000 points. They're now 2,000 points behind. So even if they win the last arc, they'll need to find 1,500 points here somewhere. And those 1,500 points are just nowhere to be found. They are nowhere to be found if you're W34X. And if you're the shot caller of this team right now, I think I tell people to play very aggressively and then just and let them know that you're going to mid late. You have like one lane go to mid early to make it look like you're going mid, and then everybody else has to go to mid late. They have to try to steal buildings before they go middle. You have to try to get points in the chaos because you're not getting any points in the orderly phase in between arcs. I mean, the defense is just there for HJK. They just consistently have enough defense in all these lanes. The Shrine of War did get flipped. The Shrine of War got flipped by W34X. They may flip it back pretty quickly, but this is what you need. If you're W34X, this is what you need. You may not hold the building, but you can at least disrupt HJK's points and hope it's enough. They're getting 80 more points a minute right now. I mean, it's going to take 20 minutes at this rate to get the 1,500 points they need, but they don't have 20 minutes. And all of this planning for W34X presupposes that they win the third mid, which is easier said than done. And HJK has now taken the Desert Altar. The problem when you go on offense is that your defense suffers, and W34X is paying the price once again. This Desert Altar has been flipped a bunch of times. The players in this lane here have been really effective in this match. They've spent so much time here, in between the Desert Altar and the Obelisk area. And they're like a blockade. They're like a toll booth. W34X has had to pay the toll every time they want to travel to their own Desert Altar. And it's a pretty costly toll. In fact, it's caused them to heal 1.4 million troops at this point. We are seeing a lot of William Wallaces in this match. Very interesting. Is it both teams or is it just W34X? Let's take a look at that. W34X is using a lot of William Wallaces. And so they're going with 2 cavalry, 2 infantry, 1 archer. Unless it's different people, and some people are choosing to run Wallace Lucci, and others are choosing to run Scipio Lucci, maybe? That could also be a possibility. But interesting at how much Wallace we're seeing from W34X. I feel like Scipio does more damage than Wallace, and that therefore Scipio is better. And then on HJK, we're actually seeing a Lucci primary. Who's the Lucci with? Wallace. Lucci Wallace. Yeah, so both teams using Wallace. Another Wallace here. Wallace definitely getting more run than expected in this match. These teams do have the ability to practice all week long. They can form pickup teams with anybody who's on the Grand Prix server. So I imagine a lot of testing has been done that has brought us to using a lot of Wallace. Maybe less Scipio than expected and more Wallace. And also we're seeing a bit of Justinian today, which is interesting. But here we go. Arc has been returned. Final mid-fight will be important, but not that important. HJK has a 5.5k point lead, 5,500 point lead for HJK. The final arc is only worth 4,000 points. You wonder if HJK even goes for this arc, or if they just try to do stuff on the sides. I honestly think the call is you just do stuff on the sides. Because then you just guarantee that you're going to win. You guarantee you're going to win if you focus the sides. Because the enemy simply can't make up enough points to get this arc. Still 5 minutes to go before arc, so a lot can happen between now and then. I do wonder if this is a fake by blue team. I wonder if these players have been told to go mid, and then we don't see other players going mid.
To have peace is Lord, there must be strife. Hour to see the
W34X trying to pressure this Desert Altar, trying to find some points one way or another. By hook or by crook, they have to make up points and they have to win the final arc. It's a tough task, especially when this Eleanor just keeps standing. Cleaned up. Once again cleaned up by HJK. And they take the Sky Altar in the meantime. Let's see what HJK is choosing to do right now with their marches. These marches down here are choosing to fight on the sides rather than go to middle. They've got their eyes on this Shrine of Life, and it looks very promising. There's really no defense left for the red team. Just admin bot here, who's been a pretty stalwart defender of this building. But yeah, HJK is kind of cheating. They're not really going mid. They're not, I mean, they're sort of going mid, but they have a lot of marches that have no interest in mid at all. They're going to just defend this Sky Altar for as long as they can. When these marches die, they might go mid, but they might just come right back here. Rally coming in on this Shrine of Life. I mean, this is clinching the match right now, even before this final arc. They're clinching the match with these takes on the side. With the continued hold on this Sky Altar and this upcoming capture of this Shrine of Life, HJK is cementing the victory before the final mid-fight even happens. And we've seen this before from very strong teams. This is the kind of thing you see from 1093. 188 played against 1093 twice deep in the last Osiris League. Actually, they played them 3 times because both of their teams played both of 1093's teams. So they've seen 1093 do this kind of thing where you just like, you put more priority to the side than your opponent does, and it just opens up possibilities down the road. Look at this. They had the Hera garrison in that rally. Very nice move. This is now a very well-defended building. They've taken the Desert Altar as well. Look, they faked mid. This was a fake mid. Just like I predicted. These original marches that went mid were the only marches that were going to go mid. It was a pure fake to make W34X commit a lot of troops to mid, and then they just took over the sides. 10 skills for both teams. Dust Up, Bog Down, and Total Vision, or HJK this time. You see they're just not using To the Death. They're just choosing to not use To the Death. And looks like a numerical advantage for the red team mid. Not a huge one, though. Not a huge numerical advantage. But they do have the temple, and they'll probably get a pretty clean run. I'll be curious to see what HJK does from here. Do they just sit at these buildings and collect their points at these buildings? Or do they try to harass this arc? The conservative play would be to sit at these buildings, but they may feel so confident about this match that they might decide to harass the arc instead. But yeah, a nicely executed side play here by HJK where they faked mid, they made the enemy commit to mid, and then they took a whole bunch of buildings. Whole bunch of buildings on the sides. They might get this Sky Altar again. They don't have a ton of field, but they do have a full rally. And you wonder if this garrison is full. It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like the garrison is full. And I'm just going to show the mid here, which, you know, is what we expected. A clean run, basically clean run for W34X, but they're losing all their buildings. And they're losing the match in the process. You know, I think the timing of HJK's attacks has been pretty good. You know, we've seen them consistently have a rally plus a swarm. That's one thing they've done better offensively than their opponents. And a lot of it is just they're getting stuff done as the arc is happening. They've had a lot of success on the sides as the arc is happening, or just before the arc, that sort of thing. Look at this movement. Look at this arc carrier movement. Oh, this person might get demoted from being the designated arc carrier after that one. Big scrum at this arc. We got our answer as far as what HJK would do. They're going to gum up this arc. They're feeling very good about the match, and so they are just going to gum up this arc. Maybe try to steal it. Maybe try to prevent them from ever returning it in this final 5 minutes. But they're just going to be very annoying. They're going to be very annoying about it. Energetic, a last moment energetic cast. I would maybe cast like Dust Up right now. Maybe it's still on cooldown. I guess it's still on cooldown, but both teams do still have one additional skill. It's going to be Heaven's Grace for W34X. You wonder what the last skill is for HJK. Probably To the Death, but if they're just choosing not to use To the Death, boy could there be a lot of other possibilities on these bars. I think what HJK has now is the standard 5 skills, and you don't really need To the Death, and that opens up a lot more possibilities. A lot more possibilities. You could use Valiant Stand as just a good defensive skill. You could use Hard Push as something to use in between arcs. You could have Master Strategy on there. You could have Sneaky Tactics. A lot of possibilities. Or the Gathering skill that gives you extra points. A lot of possibilities available if you get rid of To the Death. And so we will have to see how these skills evolve as the Grand Prix goes on. Was it just a fluke today that To the Death did not go well for some teams? Or is To the Death just not so good in the Grand Prix setting? That is one of the open questions we have as we go into day 2 of the qualifier tomorrow. 3 more hours of action tomorrow. I do hope you all will tune in. Great to have so many people on the streams today. Do throw a like on my stream if you're enjoying this content. That will very much help the exposure of this 3-hour session. Two and a half minutes left in this match. W34X inching the arc in their direction. They're going to close the gap to 7,000 points? No, 5.5. They're going to close the gap to about 5,500 points. which is about what this match has felt like. It's felt like a semi-comfortable victory for HJK. It was close at first, but HJK has consistently been the slightly stronger team here. Really good attacks, really good attacks by HJK. And they're holding the building after the attack. I think that's the other really good thing. It's almost like they're throwing the absolute minimum number of marches to defend in one lane, and then in the altar lane, they're throwing as many marches as possible in that direction to not only take the building, but then hold the building afterwards. They've been very good in both altar lanes, right? HJK is mainly attacked in the two altar lanes. They've taken the shrines much less. And that's what you want to do, right? You want to have offense in the enemy's altar lane, and you want to have defense in your own altar lane. Because the altars are just worth so many more points than the shrines are. Desert Storm from W34X. The final skill was Desert Storm. They thought they might be dealing with sneaky tactics today, so they had Desert Storm on the bar. Very interesting. Interesting to not go with Heaven's Grace. Heaven's Grace is such a good fighting skill. I almost think you go with Heaven's Grace instead of Total Vision. But what do I know? I've never played in the Grand Prix. "30 seconds left in the match. HJK is going to end this match holding at least one of the enemy's desert altars. They might hold both enemy altars at the end of this match, which would be pretty fitting. Indifference in the chat says 34 loves Desert Storm. Indifference, if you are indiff in the ROK Discord, I do appreciate all of your information about these teams. I did do some reading in the Grand Prix channel of the ROK Discord to get information before these matches. It always helps to know who you're casting. And that is it for this match. 343k points for the MVP. That's the high for the day. And a nice 7k point win for HJK from Kingdom 188. You can see that the total kills were very even. Very even on total kills. HJK simply had their marches in better places more often. They dominated in occupation, winning by 10k. They won that second arc very easily. If the second arc had gone differently, maybe we have a different story here. But kind of a textbook standard victory for HJK. That's going to do it for day one of the Grand Prix qualifiers. Thank you all for tuning in. Do throw a like on the stream. My channel, as well as the channel links to all my fellow content creators, are in the description below. We would appreciate if you check out our channels. If you enjoy the content, do give us a subscribe. And until tomorrow, I will see you all on the flip side.